there are lots of levers that you've got in the business that you can push and pull. But I think that strategic alignment is probably the biggest lever that any organization has to control where they go and how fast they get there. So one example is, McKinsey did a study and wrote it's a pretty famous, I think it was an HBR article, something like "Put your money where your strategy is" was the name of it, something like that. And basically they looked at a whole bunch of big companies, and they looked at how well they align their investments with the really top level strategic goals. So the what business are we in level of strategy, not even the what should we do within the business, but just at the what business are we in level of strategy, right? Which is just one aspect of strategic alignment. And, most organizations, empirically what they saw is that most organizations just kind of roll their investments forward year to year. We're in these businesses, and so we're just, we put that much investment in there last year. That's what we'll do again this year. That's what most organizations do. But a small number of organizations deliberately think about what are our goals and where should we invest to maximize the return on those goals. So just making that decision at that level led to the companies that did that are worth 40% more, 40, not 40% more than those that don't. Now, of course, that value doesn't appear instantly. It accrues. It's cumulative. Right, so it takes 10 years for that difference to emerge, but just change that one key process. That's just one process that can drive an additional 40% of value to your business. Now, I'm not aware of very many processes in organizations that have that kind of power, right? And that's what we're talking about, right? That's why this is so important.
Yeah, it's almost like without that, you're starting a journey on a 2-degree wrong course, so you're going to end up somewhere where you don't want to be. What's amazed me a little bit is, and certainly as I start to look at research in this space, is there aren't too many metrics like you just mentioned, right? Going back to that McKinsey study, that actually highlight the implications of poor alignment. Now, there's a bunch of stuff that translates into poor execution, like failure rates in projects is significantly increased by if the works or the projects are misaligned in the first place. But I was surprised actually how few metrics there are out there, or at least recent metrics, around the percentage of misaligned projects within a standard portfolio. Because I think it's almost a silent killer or an invisible killer of the portfolio from the get-go, right?
Absolutely. So the PMI did some research back in 2017, so that's quite old now. And they found that something like 20% of projects in a typical portfolio are so badly aligned with the goals of the organization, they should be stopped, right? So that, to me, that's a fantastic definition of waste, but it's worse than that, right? It's worse than waste because, a good number of those projects are actually taking you in the wrong direction, right? So imagine, the 1 in 5. So let's say you're standing at one end of a football field, right? And you're trying to get to the other end of the football field. And so, your steps aren't perfectly aligned, right? Your projects aren't perfectly aligned. So, you roll a dice. And if you get a 0, you stay where get 1, you stay where you are. 2, you take a step forward. 3, you take a step to the right. 4, a step to the left. 5 will go diagonally forward, and then 6 will go backwards a step. Okay, so you roll the dice, and slowly you make your way down the field, right? And there's 2 of you doing this. You're rolling the dice. The difference between the 2 people is one guy, every time he rolls a 6, he takes the step backwards. The other guy doesn't take the step backwards. Imagine how much quicker he gets to the end of the field. Right? It's not a little bit quicker, it's a lot quicker because he's not taking steps backwards. And so this is what's happening in an organization. 20% of your portfolio is pointing backwards. So you don't need to spend more money to accelerate. You just need to stop going backwards. Right? It's not just about waste. It's so much more than that. It's about it's about aligning your energy. It's about focus. It's about motivation. It's all those things. But fundamentally, if you just stop going backwards, you're going to go forwards a lot quicker.